Do you struggle to get your cat to keep their collar on? Are you wondering whether you should add a bell or a tag to their collar, or why you even need to worry about a collar in the first place? Well, after today, you're going to know exactly how to find the perfect collar for your cat. Hi, I'm Dr. Alex from ourpetshealth.com, and my aim is to help you to optimize your pet's health so that they can live the full and happy life that they deserve. And today I'm talking to Leili and Kevin from Superkit, who produce the most fantastic cat collars and cat harnesses, about what you need to think about when it comes to choosing the best collar for your cat. Now, this isn't a sponsored video or anything like that. I just think that they provide such fantastic information, and I really believe in their products. So if though you do want to dive into the products that they produce, there are links down in the description below where you can also get a 10% discount using the code OPH10. So without further ado, let's jump into the interview. What are your kind of top tips for getting a cat used to a collar, finding the right collar for them and the right fit and size and that kind of thing?
So I think introduction to a collar is a really important thing to talk about. Having been through the process, I am the nervous cat mum. So I am the person who like panics and takes something off instantly if my cat so much as scares me. So we often advise people, if they are like me, to kind of get themselves in the right headspace first. Like, remember why they're doing it, not to be a bag of nerves, not to project an aura that your cat's going to pick up on, because they are super tuned to kind of, you know how we're...
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like when you go and try and, I don't know, put flea drops on them, they know that you're coming. So you kind of want to be in the right headspace. And then we advise that people approach their cats from the front rather than swoop from behind them. Because humans have the same reaction. If something leers up behind you that you can't see what it is and tries to put something around your neck, it's really scary. Whereas if they can sniff it and then sort of see it coming towards them, they'll be much more likely to readily accept it. And then we've got a sort of few other tips about just making sure that you sort of do it up at the top. If you catch any fur, you do it up again, that sort of thing. And then with fit, our collars are sort of unusual in that they're designed to fit very closely to your cat's body in a sort of very soft, very lightweight.
And very thin. Yeah, exactly. So they model the shape of the cat's neck very well, as opposed to being rigid and forming a sort of a ring that the cat's neck moves within. It follows the contours of the neck. So that makes a huge difference.
That is like,
it's the key thing.
It's
really
quite a lot of the secret of success that we find is that close fit. So if a cat wanted to shed their collar, being able to hook their paw behind is a very tempting opportunity. It also makes it dangerous in terms of the risk of them getting it in their mouth. So we definitely want to guard against that. And also, if your cat does go outdoors or even indoors, we know they slink through things. They'll put their heads through holes. You want to make sure that collar's not presenting kind of a profile that anything can get caught in. Even if it's got a breakaway buckle, it's going to come off. So we kind of try and make them sort of super streamlined, so they just kind of are part of your cat that they can forget about, rather than something loose and dangly. But it is a bit of a and again, I totally understand this. As an owner, there is a temptation to leave something loose because you think
that's more comfortable.
Really want it to be too close to their skin, and it might be uncomfortable. So we're sort of constantly guiding people to try and achieve a good snug fit. And when they get it, you kind of know, because the cat just goes about its normal business, forgets its collar's there.
You know how sensitive a cat's fur is. You only have to touch it ever so lightly and it'll flinch and react. And if you have something that's constantly moving sideways, rubbing its fur backwards and forwards, it'll just irritate it. If that collar sits exactly on its skin and doesn't move, then it doesn't cause any friction. The cat doesn't know it's there. It completely forgets about it.
And I'll certainly see some cats, and they'll have a ring of fur missing around their neck where that collar's, and that, rubbed their fur away. And also, I guess that's probably partly the material as well. So using a synthetic woven thing, it will more likely catch hair maybe. When the collars are too loose, is that they can also not just when they're trying to get it off, they actually get their leg through the collar, and it can end up kind of underneath their armpit, and that that can really kind of cut through, and it's a really horrible, difficult wound to actually heal, because there's so much movement there, and they can be really challenging. And, you know, there are risks with them if they're not put on properly or if they're the wrong type. So breakaway buckles, sorry, are pretty important, I think.
Totally.
Yeah. I guess you've kind of touched on that, but why should everyone think of breakaway collars as an essential, really?
I think, you know, it's just critical for your cat safety. You know, if you're putting something inflexible around your cat's neck with no way for it to come off if it gets caught, because it can, you know, there's no way to close down every opportunity for snaggles to occur. You want to make sure that collar is going to come off. So yeah, I would never consider making or using a collar that didn't have a breakaway buckle. The only additional thing on top of that is we do often come across a misconception that it can guard against a cat getting the collar in their mouth, but a breakaway buckle does require the cat's weight to break it, and that's where the fit becomes really critical. A good snug fit covers all bases. Then you've got no risk of it getting in their mouth, and the breakaway buckle's there if they ever got snaggled on a branch.
With collars, I mean, they are important because they would clearly give that person who's seeing the cats out and about that visual kind of knowledge that they're an owned cat and they're not to stray. And then if they were concerned about them, they can have that tag on them with your details. Do you recommend people put their details on, or their vet number, or, you know, what do they put on the tag, do you think is the best thing?
We always recommend that first and foremost, if you did nothing else, make sure that it's got telephone numbers on. So I think, you know, it's quite nice if people see a cat that they're concerned about to feel like there's just a number they can ring. Second to that, I mean, most tags won't fit the microchip number on. It's just too long. And also, it's like, it's only meaningful if you can get into a database to look it up. So normally we say after phone numbers, as many as you can fit on the tag, so multiple ones that you keep up to date, an address, because hopefully if your cat has gone missing and they're found quickly enough, they won't have gone that far, and it will be a sort of somebody in your neighborhood or a neighbor that is finding them, and they will be able to bring them back. So,
and also knowing how far they've roamed. I mean, if you see a cat that you don't recognize, but it's one street away or a few doors away, you go, well, pretty much it's okay. It's just having a wander. If you see it from another neighborhood that's a few miles away, which happened the other day, didn't it? To your mum's neighbor. It was probably 3 or 4 miles from home. And they said, oh, right, that's clearly not right. So then we'll
do something about it.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I guess another thing that I think is if your cat's got like specific medical needs, so, you know, kind of a don't feed me or I'm diabetic or something like that can be helpful. What about bells and things? What do you think of, what's your opinion on those?
We know they can be quite divisive. I mean, we did do quite a lot of looking into, so my original background pre-telly is in biology, so I did quite a lot of research into sort of cat hearing and how they would, you know, acoustic processing in the cat, to make sure that they weren't cruel to put on a cat. But I think that I think they have definite value in terms of, you know, reducing hunting or even just knowing where your cat is. But we kind of leave it up to people to choose with our collars, and it's a sort of free choice. The one thing we do advise is that if a cat's new to wearing a collar, that people wait before putting the bell on.
It's one less thing for them to get used to.
It
get
makes
used
them
to collar first, you know, and then once you add the bell, you know whether or not it's upsetting them. If it's that they're upsetting, then you can take the bell off easily. You know, it's
because what we find is if a cat is unsettled at all by their collar and it has a bell on, it not only enhances it, but it gives them a really good way to pull it off. So, you know, they can reach down. So it's you kind of want to put the bell on when they're so happy in their collar, they have no intention of taking it off.
I'm quite keen on it for the wildlife point of view. So, we have a lot of birds here, and in New Zealand there were no land mammals, so they've all kind of evolved to have no defences and things like that. So it's important that we kind of do our bit. And I think cats can, you know, they can decimate local bird populations that can be really prolific hunters. So I will not put the bell on straight away though. So that's a absolute top tip that I hadn't thought of, and we'll definitely try. Now, if you're thinking about getting a harness for your cat, and there are definite benefits to harness training a cat from their mental and physical health standpoints, make sure you check out the other video linked on screen now. And until next time, I'm Dr. Alex. This is Our Pets Health, because they're family.